Another disadvantage of a variable annuity is you don't get a step up at death. What that means is if you owned an asset outright, let's say you put $100,000 into it, and when you died it was worth $150,000. Well, for tax purposes, your heirs would inherit that asset at $150,000. They'd only pay tax as if the value went up above $150,000. Now with a variable annuity, if you put $100,000 in and at your death it was worth $50,000, your heirs are still going to pay tax on that $50,000 gain. So you can see that it actually creates a tax disincentive if you're going to be leaving this money to your kids or your wife or anybody else, because they don't evade those taxes. So let's look at a real world example to see if annuities really make sense. Let's say you're going to invest in the market, and we'll assume that the market gets a 10% return. And then we'll assume that you're going to make a $100,000 deposit into an exchange traded fund tracking the market. And let's say you're going to put $100,000 into an annuity that tracks the market. And we'll say the ETF pays a tax on the dividends at the 15% rate, and the after-tax fee equals 0.46%. And we're also going to assume that there's a 2.5% fee on the annuities. Well, you can see after 20 years, your annuity will only grow to about $424,000 after you pay all those high fees. Whereas investing in an exchange-traded fund that tracks the market, you'd end up with $1,618,000, a substantial portion more than the $424,000. So there really is no reason, I think, to buy a variable annuity. So that goes over the variable annuities. But how about fixed annuities? Fixed annuities, again, you give the insurance company a lump sum, and what they're going to do is they're going to pay you out over the rest of your life. But there are some problems with fixed annuities. One, they don't have inflation protection unless you pay extra to buy it. The other thing is it's a last person standing wins. That means if you die early, you're going to end up overpaying for this annuity. And oftentimes there's no benefit provided to the spouse, again, unless you're going to pay for it. So you can buy other protections such as spousal benefit, inflation protection. You can even get guaranteed payments for 10 or 15 years, but you're going to pay a steep cost to get those benefits. So let's look how these extra costs can really add up. What I did is I looked at buying an annuity through Vanguard. Vanguard is a low-cost annuity provider. They don't pay any commission, so they can give you the lowest expenses out there. So let's say you put $200,000 into a fixed annuity at age 66. Now, if it was going to be on your life only, you would receive $1,467 per month for the rest of your life. Now, if you wanted to have an inflation adjustment, well, all of a sudden they're going to charge a little bit more and you'd only get $1,072. And if you wanted to have the inflation protection and a 15-year guarantee, well, now you're only going to get $968 per month. And if you wanted to add some spousal coverage to make sure that your spouse got some of this money after you died, well, now you're only looking at getting $828. So it is nice to have that steady income, and I do think fixed annuities are better than variable annuities, but you have to realize they're really not all it's cracked up to be, and I think you can be doing better on your own. So what happens if you're like one of millions of Americans who are stuck with an annuity? I always see people who've had annuities put into their portfolio. Well, you can do a thing called a 1035 exchange. That means you can move it from one annuity provider to another without any taxes. You just have to make sure there's no surrender fees on your current annuity. Insurance companies put surrender fees to make sure that they can recoup the commissions that they paid your planner or broker. But if you do this, you can actually save substantial amounts of money, maybe 1 to 3% per year by going to a Vanguard annuity. The other thing you want to make sure that you never do is have an annuity in your 401k, 403b, or IRA. There's absolutely no reason to have a tax-deferred vehicle like an annuity inside another tax-deferred vehicle like an IRA or 401k. I always say that's like wearing scuba gear on a submarine. You just don't need it. But they do it a lot of times because it pays some big commissions. The reason that so many people are sold annuities every year is that they pay big commissions to people. In fact, most of them pay at least anywhere from 6 to 8% is the norm, but you could see some go as high as 10 to even 13%. Here's an ad I received from an insurance company talking about selling a variable annuity that paid 13% commission. This means that if the broker is able to get you to buy an annuity with $100,000, they would get a $13,000 payday just to have you fill out the forms. They don't ever need to talk to you again. The other thing is you're going to have massive amount of fees on this in order for them to make up paying the broker that high of a commission. Here's another ad that I received showing that if you sell the most of this annuity over the next quarter, you could win a BMW Roadster. Now, if you're sitting with a planner or an advisor and they're trying to win this BMW, which annuity do you think you're going to be sold? So I hope this quick little lesson can show you why I'm not a big fan of annuities at all. And if you do have some annuities stuck in your portfolio, you may want to look at moving it over to a low-cost provider to really help you save on all the fees and expenses.